my name is Katherine. I'm 24 years old and I am the youngest out of 3. I would like to share with you today a little bit about myself. My home was a pretty much regular home. My father worked a lot and my mother was a stay-at-home mom. She would pick us up from school, drop us off in the morning and pick us up from school. And she was just a great mother. And my father was an amazing man. You know, in my house, we never lacked love. We never lacked affection at all. At the age of, I would say about 6 years old, my brother's friend introduced me to a little different side of life, I guess you can say. And that to me hurt me, but I did not know it did. With the years going by and his friend separated a little bit from our family, we had another friend, which was my sister's friend, and the same thing. She introduced me to a little something more different about life, I guess you can say as well. And with that really scarred me on the inside, because to me, I was seeing myself nothing more and nothing less than an object. For me, during middle school years, all I could do was show a little bit of skin here and show a little bit of skin there, because that's all I knew. To me, the only attention that was worthy of was the attention of men. And it wasn't the right kind of attention either. It was the wrong kind of attention. The attention that, I guess you can say, lustful. And with that, I was introduced to many, many different kind of things. And I'm not really going to list them so we can keep it a little bit G-rated. But it was hard for me growing up and to seek myself and finding myself, because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who I was because everything I would find myself in, the only thing that I found purpose in was in using my body, either trying to call people's attention to it or using it as an object for other people. And with that, since I lacked my identity itself, I started downgrading myself, because like I said, I didn't have an identity. I looked down to myself and I didn't think I was any of worth. So I lacked a lot of self-esteem as well. And with that, I want to say that by the age of 16, I lost my virginity to my first boyfriend. I was 16 at the time and he was 26. Yes, you can say it's illegal, but it happened. And with that came other things. I was introduced to that, and as the years went by, I started hanging around the more and more wrong kind of crew. I got introduced into alcohol, and I would not say I ever went clubbing or did drugs, but I was introduced to it. I just never took a deeper step, because it was that kind of thing that if I do it, my parents are going to find out. I always try to do things that my parents would not be able to find out that I was doing. So the main thing that I want to talk to you guys about today is sex. And I have a few facts that I would like to share with you guys today about sex. And sex in young ages is very common, unfortunately and sadly to say. Sex is something that was made and created. Can you tell me what for? Let me see. You. No, that's not what it was made for. Sex was made for reproduction. For you to show your love with another person. And in today's world, we have put sex as a disturbing matter. I guess you can say people look into sex as just a way to make yourself feel good. Yet when you're done, all you feel like is a piece of garbage. You feel worthless. You feel like you're nothing. And that's exactly what happened to me. And I would like to share a few facts with you today about that. Fewer than 2% of adolescents have had sex by the time they reach their 12th birthday. That's 12 years old, guys. 16% have had sex by the age of 15 and 16. 48% by the age of 17, 61% by the age of 18, and 71% by the age of 19. There is little difference by gender in the timing of their first time they had sex. Teen sex is related to drinking, smoking, and drugs. Sexually active teens are 6 times more likely to drink regularly, 5 times more likely to smoke regularly, and 4 times more likely to try marijuana. So you see, sex is just a seed that's planted in there, because when it's used out of its main context, it is a seed to grow something that is not helpful. Drinking and smoking and drugs are not good for you. You know how many teens drink when they're young, and all they do is lose their mind, because when you're drunk, you don't have knowledge of what you're doing. Not only that, as I had said before, sex was made for reproduction. So what does reproduction mean? Pregnancy. And how many of you 12-year-olds and 15-year-olds there want to have a baby? Thought so. None of you. But did you know that in 2011, there were 334,000 births among girls aged 19 or younger, representing 8% of all births in the United States. Each year, almost 750,000 U.S. women aged 15 to 19 become pregnant. In 2008, 59% of pregnancies among 15 and 19-year-olds ended in birth, 26% in abortion, and 15% in miscarriage. You guys have to understand that sex is made for reproduction. So meaning, if you're going to have sex at the age of 12, you're most likely going to get pregnant, don't you think? Especially when you don't use protection. And another thing is, your body at the age of 12, you're not completely made to have a child, to bear a child. And what happens? You end up having either a miscarriage or that child is born with a defect. And that being said, at the age of 12, you're not working. And your buddy isn't working either. And none of you guys want to have the child. So what happens? The child has to pay the price through abortion. And being said about sex, what else do you get when you have sex? Most likely an STD and an STI. If you're not using protection, you're going to get something. Young people ages 15 to 24 account for 50% of all new STIs, although they represent just 25% of the sexually experienced population. The Centers of Disease Control and Prevention estimates that there are more than 110 million STIs among men and women in the United States. This includes both new and existing infections. The U.S. has the highest rate of STD infection in the industrialized world. 46% of American high school students have had sexual intercourse and potentially are at risk of human HIV and other STDs. 1 of 4 teens contract an STD or STI every year. So if there's 4 people around you right now, most likely one of you guys have an STD or an STI. Did you think about that? This video is pretty much a warning, I guess you can say. If you're not ready for an STI or an STD, if you're not ready to be a mommy or a daddy, I would suggest you stop it. Fooling around is not fun. It could be fun momentarily, but in the long run, it isn't. When you have sex out of a marriage, or if you have sex just for having it as an object or as just a fun game, afterwards, you always feel low. You feel less of yourself, and you feel like a part of you was taken away. Because that is exactly what happens. When you have a relationship with someone, when you have sex with someone, a piece of you stays with them and a piece of them stays with you. What I want you to understand today is, if you're not married and if you're not ready to continue a life with a family, if you're not ready to have a child, to build a family, if you're not ready to have a sexually transmitted disease or infection that will be with you for the rest of your life, if you're not ready to plant a seed inside of you to either grow into a child or grow into something bitterer, that meaning alcohol or even drugs, smoking, or even worse than that, I just tell you, stop. Like I said, I was introduced into this at a very young age. And at the age of 21, I decided to completely stop all of this, because I knew that it was not taking me to anywhere healthier or anywhere better. It was just taking me deeper and deeper into a hole where I had no exit. And if you don't, you will too. Have a good one.